So something we discussed recently on the channel was the idea on whether or not Nintendo would ever bring back the 2D side of Mario games with brand new installments, as clearly there is a ton of love and nostalgia for games like Mario Bros 3, Super Mario World. We even have things like Mario Maker 2 that allow us to play through all of the classic Mario games with fresh fan-created experiences. And while the debate is still out on whether or not we will get new 2D Marios, and in today's video I want to boot up and share my impressions on a very impressive fan-made project that was created in Mario Maker 2 known as Super Mario Bros 5, unofficially of course, and have a discussion on whether or not there is a place for 2D Mario classical style games going forward, and also share how you guys can play this game right now. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, today we are checking out a project unofficially titled Super Mario Bros 5 that I definitely hope Nintendo gives us like a Super Mario World 3 one day, or I guess 2 is technically Yoshi's Island. Anyway, you get the drift. I hope they continue the classical 2D installments that we had. And the first thing I have to say and point out and give props to this creator, which by the way, I will have this course ID so you guys can check this out yourself in the description down below, as well as a link to the person's Twitter account that created this, because it is just a fantastic love letter to classic 2D Mario games. But the overworld, you may notice, is actually something that you start out the game in a classical Mario style overworld. And the idea and goal behind this project, as I understand it, something that took this creator roughly 7 years from the sounds of things to put this all together and ultimately get it released. And you know, and it's funny saying released as part of Mario Maker 2, but this really is a new Mario release that was just available, that popped up online because different news outlets were picking it up, and I saw it. And this is trying to be essentially if Nintendo was behind creating a new installment in 2D Mario, what it might play and feel like. And so it's not one of those crazy fan-made levels that are, or projects rather, that is just like ridiculously overly challenging like you see sometimes in terms of new Mario Maker levels, but rather what I believe this person feels like Nintendo would ultimately create if there was a true up Mario Bros 5 or what have you. And I'm hopeful that in addition to fan created projects like this that are extremely fun and enjoyable, that we will ultimately see Nintendo return to classic 2D Mario games with, granted, I guess you could argue they may need to do something really creative. Maybe Miyamoto gets back involved in trying to get some kind of new gameplay elements, because yes, you can argue that Mario, 2D Mario specifically, has been around for so long now that maybe there's a little bit to be desired in terms of new gameplay mechanics or something to make it very truly unique and not just feel like more of the same. But I do think that there's something about the care around level design that you can still make this franchise and this experience in the 2D form impactful. And I personally have really enjoyed the new Super Mario Bros games, as well as just the co-op aspect being kind of like one of the highlights now, that the fact that you can play with friends at the same time and experience the classic 2D Mario levels. And I do like things like Super Mario Maker 2 on the Switch. I played most of my time on Mario Maker 1 on the Wii U, but you have things that projects that are just limitless, that you just give fans the creation tools and they can go do whatever they want. Back in the day on the PC, there was a application by the name of Lunar Magic that kind of let you do this, but on a PC level, and it was unofficial, not from Nintendo. And I always thought it would be the coolest thing if Nintendo just let basically the fans create how they saw Mario levels and what they wanted to do. And it's really, you know, cool to see it now in an official capacity on the Switch, because either Nintendo realized that there was a big fan community around it and they decided to do it themselves, or maybe they've always wanted to let fans make these titles themselves and have never gotten around to it. But regardless, a franchise like Mario that has such history behind it, and you can see the difference even in this fan project right here between we were just playing in the mechanics of Super Mario World, which personally to this day I still think is my all-time favorite Mario game. Yes, in terms of 3D, 64 and Sunshine really stand out, and Sunshine's really my favorite 3D game. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but that's honestly how I feel about it. In terms of 2D Mario, hands down, Super Mario World is my favorite. The cape, the Yoshi mechanic, everything that they introduced with that, a huge fan of. Mario Bros 3 comes in just shortly behind that. All fantastic games, though. Have so much love and nostalgia for this franchise, and really just grew up playing it and never stopped, essentially. Just kind of always kept up with Mario releases and enjoyed each and every one of them. And there's also something very nostalgic, and I would recommend you guys to, if you are going to check out this fan project at some point or another, make sure you grab a Super NES controller from the Nintendo Switch online store and get it delivered to you. It's really nice to have a wireless SNES controller, especially if you have nostalgia for that console like I do, playing these 2D classic platformers where you don't have to worry about things like analog sticks and 3D navigation. I just think the SNES controller is quite honestly the pinnacle of playing 2D games, my personal opinion, of course, and a lot of nostalgia really speaking on that for the most part, because you probably like whatever controller you grew up with and remember fondly. But you know, so far the navigation of both just the first level and the second level, I haven't gotten into this any further than you guys have seen me play, so I'm really experiencing this with you together. But the level design, to give kind of kudos to this creator known as Mikey Mike, which is actually right on the title of whenever you boot up this game, which again, shout out, I didn't know that you could create like an overworld and a menu screen and everything in Mario Maker. I had no clue. I always thought it was kind of more stage driven. But you know, that's something that is really cool that they let you do, and also something that I think is what's notable about the level design, besides being able to just connect it all together in an overworld, is also a shout out to the creator. It feels like Nintendo made this, I mean, maybe that's what they're exactly what they're going for, and that would be received as a compliment, and that's what I intended as, because this doesn't feel like the kind of fan-made, fan-centric level design where everything is just kind of over the top or crazy. This feels, you know, essentially just like the old school inspired Mario level traversal, and even the length of the levels is like the perfect amount. Like just getting through right to the end of this, I'm 2 stages in now. There are 4, I believe, if I remember correctly, hopefully I'm not misquoting this, 40 different stages to experience in this Mario Bros 5 project. And then 8 different worlds. So truly a impressive feat at that. And hopefully, you know, this is something that maybe we'll get a sequel to in the future. I mean, I'm all for everything in terms of, you know, fans driving through new projects, getting Nintendo talking, you know, maybe on their radar, getting Nintendo to look at things like this. You know, we've talked about Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and that entire, I love that we got a spotlight coming down on Yoshi since it's his intro into the game. And, you know, maybe sometimes whenever Nintendo waits too long to give fans what they want in something, the fan community nowadays with the tools and resources that are out there, sometimes take it upon themselves to do that. And we talked about the Unreal Engine project of Ocarina of Time, which just looks beautiful and fantastic. And, you know, this kind of reminds me of that same thing, but just in a 2D capacity for Mario. And, you know, I personally love to see it. And I also am hopeful that Nintendo, if you think about this, the Switch and the life cycle, we saw New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which was the official 2D Mario that did come over. However, that was a Wii U game ported over. So you have to keep stuff like that in mind, because technically we have not seen a true up 2D Mario from Nintendo in the Switch era. And whether or not that happens before we're ultimately done with the Switch era remains to be seen. I may have to actually collect these key coins, and I don't know if I missed one over here. Yes, I did, so I'm glad I remembered to come back. Let's just, while we're at it, we'll double check and make sure that we didn't miss any others. And bear with me on my train of thought. Sometimes when I play and talk at the same time, it gets a little bit all over the place, but you know, I'll go back to Nintendo and just them, whether or not we're going to see a 2D Mario installment. I think there's a market for it still. And I think that games like Mario Maker 2, while those were released on the Switch, and yes, you can argue that that does have its own story mode progression that are levels created from Nintendo. So maybe that is a 2D Mario, but I still want to see it come back in an official capacity. Let's get Cape Mario and Yoshi on the front screen, and let's call it Super Mario World 3. And just go for an all new installment in the series. And then maybe, if we're super lucky, you know, it comes with Mario World, the original, and Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, just kind of as a callback remastered that we could experience. And then we just get a fresh installment, because as time goes on and there's so much to be enjoyed in 3D games and the way that they play, there is also, I think, especially for people who grew up in the 2D era of gaming, a large market for wanting to get fresh experiences, but in that classical gameplay style that we just don't see as much of nowadays. Granted, I will give a ton of shout outs to all the HD 2D projects that have been coming out recently. And, you know, I think something like Super Mario World done in HD 2D, which is almost like what this is, because they've definitely spruced up the graphics from what they originally were. You know, I honestly do believe, oh my God, we got Red Yoshi. Okay, we're gonna definitely have to get off our current Yoshi and get on Red Yoshi. Sorry, no disrespect, Green Yoshi, but Red just looks that much cooler than you. So, you know, I'm hopeful that, yes, indeed, 2D Mario is not dead. Nintendo will bring it back. And in the meantime, we have fan projects like this. Fantastic shout outs to Mikey, Mike, whatever it is. You did a fantastic project, and I definitely have a bunch of respect for you that you took all the time to create this fantastic overworld. I personally will continue to traverse through this in my own time, but I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video, all your personal thoughts and opinions on this project. Don't forget also, it is linked in the description down below. You just have to go search this person's user ID and navigate to the play section to actually check this out yourself. Do you want to see 2D Mario return to the Nintendo Switch in an official capacity from Nintendo? Or do you think that that was one era of gaming and we are now in a different one and you couldn't care less if Mario does come back in 2D? I definitely am on the side that I want to see the official future support for the series in the 2D factor, in addition to 3D Mario games. But regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.